What's up, guys? It's Casey Zogelman, aka the Fourth Sanderson Sister, coming at you with another Hocus Pokemon video. Yes, another one. These are fun for me, even if the YouTube algorithm has not been suggesting my channel as much lately, causing a large dry spell, but I digress. So if you're seeing this, please consider watching all the way to the end. Anyway, in today's video, I'll be building a Pokemon team for one of our two heroines, Allison. So sit back and enjoy Allison's journey and stay tuned for announcements at the end. Allison begins her Pokemon journey in the lab at school where she's presented with some choices, but as usual it isn't the Fire, Water, Grass trio. Allison decides to choose a normal type Pokemon called Aipom, which evolves into Ambipom. Ambipom's Pokedex entry reads, "It uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof it really likes you." Allison, upon first impression in Hocus Pocus, doesn't seem too friendly or genuine. Of course, this is when she's trying to deal with the show-off Max, who is just not her type in this moment. But when she opens up with Max, it shows she really does like him. Ambipom is like that with people. It takes some time for it to open up, but once it does, it's your ride or die. Normal types can actually learn a wide variety of moves, and Ambipom is no different. Its pool of moves that it can learn from TMs, or technical machines, is vast, and it ranges from water to fighting type attacks. This mimics Allison's knowledge on many different topics relating to Halloween and Salem and the Sanderson history. She really knows her stuff. Ambipom also has two abilities that it can use, the first being Pickup. Pickup allows a Pokemon to grab items off the ground or after a battle. The other ability, Technician, fits Allison much better. Technician powers up a Pokemon's weaker moves and allows them to deal more damage. This is a fantastic ability for Allison's partner to have, as she also has to do some quick thinking to power up her and her friends. A great example of Allison acting in a similar way is when she starts using Salt to fend off the Sanderson sisters. This gave the weak to magic team an advantage. Ambipom would be a great first partner for Allison, and also please just imagine it using the hands on its tails to slap the Sanderson sisters around as Allison watches and laughs. It makes me giggle. It makes me giggle, it brings me joy. Allison, Aipom riding on her shoulder, heads to the library. Here she decides to continue her research into the Sanderson sisters' history just in case they come back again. On the way there, she finds what looks like a small child sitting on a park bench, and it looked very sad and lonely. As soon as she approaches, it teleports away from her. This was no child, it was a Pokemon, so Allison changes tactics. She sits down with Aipom and begins splitting a snack with it, causing the little Pokemon to see she's kind and slowly come back over to the bench. Allison offers it some food, and you guessed it, she ends up with her next Pokemon, Ralts. Ralts evolves into Kirlia, and then splits into either Gallade or Gardevoir, and Gardevoir is Allison's next team member. A psychic and fairy type, this Pokedex entry says, it unleashes psychokinetic energy at full power when protecting a trainer it has closely bonded with. Allison is all about tight bonds once she's your friend. She just met Danny the night of Halloween 1993 and proceeded to put her life on the line to protect her. A couple of times. Friendship is very important to both Allison and Gardevoir, plus there's also this comment that Winnie makes.
Salt! Ha! What a clever little white witch!
Allison could be a white witch, and Gardevoir's power would be a perfect match for her. Let's say Allison's starting to practice with her own magic. Gardevoir could help her learn. Gardevoir, like Ambipom, has two abilities. The first ability is Synchronize. This ability activates when Gardevoir is inflicted with either poison, sleep, or paralysis. That same status condition will be applied to the attacker, so if Gardevoir is poisoned, boom, whatever poisoned her gets poisoned. It's a pretty great ability. The other ability, Trace, copies an opponent's ability and mimics it. Either ability would honestly be useful for Allison for, let's say, fighting 3 plucky witches. Trace would let Gardevoir copy any of the Sanderson sisters' abilities and use it against them. Synchronize would allow her to inflict any spell conditions back on the witches. Between the powerful psychic and fairy type attacks, as well as either useful ability, Gardevoir would be a great team member for Allison and possibly her ace. The next entry on the roster would be gifted to her by her mother, who used to run the Sanderson Museum. Though she would have been in trouble for breaking in, Allison would likely still be a really responsible girl, but she needs someone to watch and make sure she doesn't do that kind of thing again. So the key to the museum would be entrusted to Allison's next Pokemon, Klefki. A Steel and Fairy type, Klefki's Pokédex entry reads, "In the past, noble families entrusted their vault keys to a Klefki. They passed the Klefki down through the generations, taking good care of it." Something as important as keeping the key to the Sanderson Museum away from prying hands would need to be entrusted to Klefki and the responsible Allison. Klefkis tend to guard keys with their lives if they treasure it enough. So as long as Allison has Klefki, it would be safe. The Steel and Fairy typing is also very helpful as it cuts two of Fairy's biggest weaknesses, and really their only weaknesses, which is poison, because Steel types are not affected by poison, and Steel types. It's already a Steel type, so it's not going to hurt that much. Klefki has the ability Prankster, which gives priority to status-inflicting moves. So let's say someone tries to steal the key. Klefki would be able to attack fast enough to prevent the theft by using a status move to either cause poison, paralysis, or sleep. It would also discipline Allison for using it to break in on Halloween. Klefki would be very helpful to Allison, but not only her, to her whole family. Now you might be wondering if Allison has any idea about how Max's team is shaping up. Allison is perfectly aware of Max and his new Pokemon, and they've been bringing their teams around each other. Well, Allison finds a stray Pokemon on her way home from a Pokemon playdate with Max. It looked a lot like his Nidoran, but it was a different color, and it did not have a horn. Allison gives it a little food since it looked hungry, and it follows her home. This is how she ends up with her female, Nidoran, that will evolve into Nidorina, and then Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is not only a great counterpart to Max's Nidoking, but this poison ground type is pretty perfect for Allison. Its entry reads, "Nidoqueen is better at defense than offense. With scales like armor, this Pokemon will shield its children from any type of attack." Allison acts like this with Danny and with Max. She never backs down from the Sanderson sisters, okay, even when she's screaming, and does everything she can to help her friends when they're in danger. Nidoqueen would allow Max and Allison to team up with his Nidoking to take on their rivals and foes. Nidoqueen has the same abilities as Nidoking with Poison Point and Rivalry. For Allison, I'd give her Nidoqueen Poison Point, so if an enemy makes contact with her, they'll be poisoned untouched. It plays on Allison's personality as well. If you strike her the wrong way, she can be pretty venomous. A nice example of that is this.
Trick or treat.
With Allison able to calm Max and her Nidoqueen able to soothe his Nidoking, they'd be a very strong but zen pair to deal with. Building her team up, while important, isn't always on Allison's mind. Her life is a lot different from Max's, as his Pokemon are really his best friends and more of his confidants than his parents. Allison spends a lot of time studying and helping her parents with the upkeep of Salem's historic sites. Knowing that the Sanderson sisters are not likely to return without another black flame candle, she's a little more relieved about letting the place fall apart. However, without Binks around to make sure of it, Allison begins to feel just a little bit of paranoia. She was checking over the property one night when she saw a shock of blonde out of the corner of her eye. Her blood froze as she thought of Sarah Sanderson coming for her, so she grabbed Ambipom's ball from her belt and pursued. She saw the blonde again disappearing into the trees. Allison unleashed Ambipom only to be met with a flame burst. What she was chasing appeared, and it was a large blonde fox with 9 glowing tails. With Ambipom's help, Allison catches her next teammate, Ninetales. Ninetales is a fire-type Pokemon with a Dex entry reading. Its 9 beautiful tails are filled with a wondrous energy that could keep it alive for 1,000 years. What better Pokemon to help guard the Sanderson house than one that can live for 1,000 years? Allison's Ninetales would be on patrol every Halloween, possibly every full moon, to ensure that no funny business is going on there. Ninetales' magic tails would ward off pranksters and sense any possible magic leaks coming from the house. Its powerful fire-type attacks would be useful in case the Sanderson sisters were to come back, as we did establish that they are a little afraid of fire. Ninetales has the ability Flash Fire that absorbs flame attacks and raises the power of its own fire attacks. So if Ninetales was in a pinch, Allison could throw some fire at it to power up her partner. Ninetales is also very loyal to its trainer and vengeful to those who wrong it, so Ninetales could defend Allison valiantly against the Sanderson sisters, laying its own curses in retaliation. Together, Allison and Ninetales could cause some magic retaliation. Allison needs one more Pokemon to fill out her team, but she wants to find something she can use to really reflect any magic attacks that could be thrown at her. Something in her gut tells her the Sanderson sisters will come back in the future, and she needs to be ready to defend her friends and the town. So while she's on her way home from school one day, she hears someone yelling at a blue Pokemon. She heard the words useless and no attacks, then a sad moan and the smash of a Pokeball. Allison goes to investigate and sees a sad Pokemon staring at the remains of its old ball. She comforts it and offers her own Pokeball, to which the Pokemon accepts. Allison's last team member is the psychic type, Wobbuffet. Why a Wobbuffet, you might ask? Because of this. Wobbuffet is a huge salt circle and a living shield. Any attack you throw at it can be reflected with the moves Mirror Coat and Counter. Oh, and when they're bounced back, they double in power. Its Pokedex entry reads, it hates light and shock. If attacked, it inflates its body to pump up its counter strike. Now, did I also mention the ability of this Pokemon is called Shadow Tag and prevents the foe from escaping battle? It can also learn the move Destiny Bond that, if the foe knocks it out, it takes the foe down with it. Just imagine, for a moment if you will, this Pokemon in the hands of Allison if she ever has to go up against the Sanderson sisters again. Winifred's Lightning, bounced back with double the power. They try to fly away, forget it. Shadow Tag's holding them still. They manage to knock out Wobbuffet. Oh, bye-bye, ladies. He used Destiny Bond. Allison is a strategist. Using Wobbuffet correctly requires strategy. Allison is above all a defender, and Wobbuffet is the ultimate defensive wall and counter striker. It would probably be the most powerful Pokemon on her team, from just being used as a shield Allison would of course love and care for. One night, when the moon is full, Allison and Ninetales are patrolling the Sanderson property when Ninetales crouches. It senses something in the air. Allison brings out Ambipom and Wobbuffet as she gets ready to battle. A rush of wind comes from behind and she prepares to strike, but comes face to face with a beautiful Pokemon sparkling in the moonlight. It had a gentle demeanor, but it did want to battle. Allison obliged and received not only a lunar wing, but a new friend in the legendary Pokemon, Cresselia. Cresselia is a psychic-type legendary Pokemon whose Pokedex entry says, those who sleep holding Cresselia's feather are assured of joyful dreams. It is said to represent the crescent moon. A lunar Pokemon would be great for Allison's guardian, as everything that frightens her comes at night. She'd been in a night-long battle with 3 ancient witches, and it still haunts her. Cresselia would be able to quell those fears and put her mind at ease. Cresselia is not the best attacker in the world, but it's very defensive, and its ability Levitate removes the threat of ground-type attacks. I think Cresselia would be more of a friend to Allison than a battle partner, and help her through rough nights when all she can think about is Halloween 1993. So there we go. Those are my picks for Allison's Pokemon team. Ambipom, Gardevoir, Klefki, Nidoqueen, Ninetales, and Wobbuffet, with Cresselia as her legendary partner. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my picks, or would you have chosen a different Pokemon? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you're new to my channel, please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free. It helps me, and what helps me helps you guys get more great content like this. Speaking of Pokemon, Black Flame Gaming is back Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we will be continuing the fan game Pokemon Dark Violet as Sarah Sanderson. If you were not there on Saturday night, it went sideways in a hurry. It went bad so fast. But we're coming back with a vengeance Saturday night, so just get ready. Just get ready. On April 16th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be going live with a special birthday stream where I will open fan mail from you all and do a live Q&A. If you can get this channel to 1,450 subs by then, I'll dress up as my own 4th Sanderson sister, which you all have been begging me to see. Get us to 1,500 and I'll do it as a full cosplay. Now, something with that, if you are planning to send fan mail, which by the way, the P.O. Box is in the About section of this channel, go check that out for your address. If you want to send something, it can be items, it can be letters. Just make sure they're appropriate. Don't be creepy. Don't be creepy. It's not that hard to not be creepy. But you need to start sending those as soon as possible, because February's almost over and April's going to be here before we know it. So just a heads up, if you're planning on sending something, I would do it sooner rather than later if you want it to be here on time. Now, on July 16th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be doing a special 30th anniversary watch-along of Hocus Pocus, the Trivia and Treats edition here on the channel to celebrate the movie's, you guessed it, 30th anniversary. Now, please consider joining our Discord and connect with your fellow witches and wizards. Link is also in the About section of the channel. If you're a regular on this channel, please remember to drop a like and share your thoughts on this topic down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson sister, and I will see you witches and wizards later.
I am